Well, so we're going to be talking about a rather big and important topic today, the whole issue of loneliness and social isolation. So I'm hoping by the end of my presentation that you'll be aware of the association between loneliness and social isolation and poor health, and as well, even reduced lifespan, and be able to describe some of the potential interventions, both by healthcare providers, but also by individuals and family members to overcome loneliness and isolation. And at the end, I'll mention a particular approach that can be helpful in terms of changing our behaviors. It's called the Fountain of Health approach, which is a Canadian initiative. So I'm co-chair of something called the Canadian Coalition for Seniors Mental Health, which the goal is to improve the mental health of older Canadians by connecting people and resources and ideas. And it's 20 years old now, and I've been involved since the beginning. And we're associated with the Canadian Academy of Geriatric Psychiatry, but the coalition is very interprofessional and includes many different groups, including seniors themselves. Just to mention some of the things we do create a lot of clinical guidelines for healthcare providers. That's telling people in practice how they should best care for older adults. So these are some recent examples. Whenever we produce guidelines, we always produce materials for the public as well, for older adults and their families. And currently, we have funding to address the issue of isolation and loneliness with some funding that was actually given to us from a private anonymous foundation. We also have a large federal grant right now to produce some more guidelines focused on responsive behaviors. Those are the challenging behaviors that can occur in people living with dementia. Also focused on separate guidelines focused on anxiety and anxiety disorders. And then more information for both the public and healthcare providers on some of our existing guidelines, including those on substance use and depression. So I'd like you to take a minute for personal reflection and just think about these questions. So have you personally experienced some degree of social isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic? Yes or no? And have you felt lonely for significant periods during this time? And have you been able to develop strategies to decrease social isolation? I've given a few recent talks to healthcare providers and asked them the same questions. And amazingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, a very high proportion of those healthcare professionals say they have experienced both social isolation and loneliness during the pandemic. It's been a very challenging time. So on the left here, we have an image by Kay Sage, who was an American surrealist painter. And I think it's a very powerful, evocative image of a woman staring into the distance. And, you know, when I look at that, I do get the sense that this person is feeling very much alone. And on the right, we see the lyrics from Eleanor Rigby, which is, of course, by the Beatles. Many of you may know this song, but yeah, it's certainly about loneliness and again, powerful words. You know, Eleanor Rigby died in a church and was buried along with her name. Nobody came. This is from a song by a band called Green Day. Some of you may know them, very famous group. And the lyrics here are, I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me and I walk alone. Now that's a very different kind of a feel, isn't it, to the sense of being alone. It's almost like this person is more comfortable with their sense of loneliness or just being on their own, perhaps. I'd be interested in your thoughts about